third time. So we will start within a couple of minutes.
Okay, sir.
Right, guys. Hello, everyone. Welcome to DURGASOFT. I'm Chaitanya. I will be your trainer for the next, the entire Docker and Kubernetes sessions. So, yeah. So today we are going to start a very exciting journey towards a most important and a very, very interesting topic, that is Docker and Kubernetes. Okay. So we will discuss the entire concept of Docker and Kubernetes when we are going in deep into the things. But before I go into this, okay, before we start the entire concepts of Docker and Kubernetes and Docker containers, Docker, everything. So just let us have a quick question here. So how many of you have heard about the Docker and containers before? How many of you have heard about Docker and containers before? Yes, guys, go on with your answers, please. Yeah. So, Ashok, yeah, you can, if you want to share anything, you can share, or you can unmute yourself and share the conversation. Very much open to all. Yeah, please unmute yourself and let's keep this like a discussion form. Yeah. Yes, Ajit, Ashok, Suresh, Vijay,
Yes, I
anyone?
can hear you. Yes, I can hear you. Sorry.
Yeah. Just let me know about, have you heard about this Docker and Kubernetes? You are saying, Ashok is saying like, I
Yes.
have just a few basic knowledge, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So any other people? Come on, guys. It's just like an interaction. So yeah, anyone, can you please tell me about what is meant by Docker? I mean, how you know about the Docker, or else you are new to the Docker? Anything you can just share about that.
Hello.
Yeah, Ajay.
Sir, actually what happened, I have 3 years of experience in .NET, and I'm currently giving an interview, and the recruiters continuously asking for you have exposure any .NET Kubernetes knowledge. That's why I'm here.
No, I'm not asking that question here. Okay. Anyways, thanks about that. But
Actually, I joined late. That's why I didn't get the questions.
I already typed that question in the notepad itself. I think my notepad is visible to you. My screen is visible.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
That's my question. Have you heard about Docker and containers?
Yes.
So how well you know about Docker and containers?
No,
We will come.
I actually means I've confused about those concepts.
Yeah, fine. Okay. Don't get confused about that. We will have a clear-cut discussion over here. Anyways, coming back to the point, so I don't want to make you very like this a prolonged thing. Okay, fine. So you don't need to worry about if you haven't heard about the Docker and Kubernetes or else Docker and computers. So right now when you see today's upcoming IT world, the Docker and Kubernetes has become a very hot skill for the entire IT industry. Right now, if you go for any interview, okay, either you might be a developer, you might be a system administrator, you might be you might be coming from a basic IT background also. A few of the people are asking you about the Docker and Kubernetes. Have you heard about that? Containerization and orchestration platforms. Simply, if I have to redefine the concept, have you ever heard about this containers and orchestration? Containerization Docker will comes under the containerization, Kubernetes will comes under the orchestration platform. Anyways, don't get confused about this higher terminology and all the things. Just let us keep it in a basic and simple manner. So the first things first, why Docker? So I'm not going very in deep into the technicalities. Okay. Yeah. So I'm not going very deep into the technicalities. Okay, I'm just going very basically about just let you know about what is meant by Docker and what is a container. And of course, today's agenda will be just to introduce about the Docker and containers. And once a little bit of technicalities will be there, and then I will discuss about syllabus of Docker and Kubernetes. And finally, we will have a question and answer session. Okay, these things will be there. So let us discuss about the why Docker. What is the necessity of Docker? Okay, so there are so many developers out there. Suresh, if I'm not wrong, can you please introduce about yourself? Is Suresh is there?
Yes, Chaitanya.
Yeah, Suresh, can you please introduce about yourself? Anyways, before we go into why Docker concept, I just want to know about each and every candidate first. Yeah.
Okay. Myself is Suresh. I'm working in IT field. I am working in the cloud, like cloud operations and architecture kind of things. I need to explore in the Docker and Kubernetes. That's why I joined this course.
Very good. Thanks, Suresh. Thanks for your introduction. Yeah. Vijay, can you please introduce about yourself?
Yes, sir. Myself, Vijay. I am doing MCA. So I am very interested to Docker. That's why I am hearing. I learned about why Docker and Kubernetes.
Okay, fine. Thanks about that. So why Docker? So there are so many people who are coming from the development background, and there are the people who are coming from the like MCA background who are interested towards learning the Docker and Kubernetes, Docker and containers, and there are the people who are coming from the cloud background also, and they want to learn about this Docker and Kubernetes things. So let me go with a sharp and a simple concept of this Docker first. So why Docker? What is the necessity of Docker? First of all, we need to know before we go into the Docker, what is meant by Docker? We should have a clear-cut understanding about why Docker. Okay, why we need to have this Docker. So let me give a very simple problem. Okay, very simple problem. I think there is a .NET developer here. Maybe I think there might be a Java developer also, or else there might be the students who are working in the software programming technologies also. So I have a question for you. So for example, there is an front-end development is there, AngularJS or React.js, you are working with that. Okay. So in your laptop, you have written the entire code beautifully and it is working fine in your laptop. We don't have any problem. You don't see any problem in your laptop. But if you go for okay, if you go for any another place, there will be a problem with that. I will come back to this question first. But before that, before we go into that, let me ask you a very small thing. Okay, earlierly, whenever we don't have this Docker, just forgot about this DevOps, this cloud and everything. So we just go back to somewhere like 2000s. So when we go back to the 2000s of earlier millennium, so do we have this Docker? Did anybody discuss in India about the DevOps cloud? Like 2000, 2001, 2002, at that time, did anybody know about cloud? Did anybody know about the DevOps thing? Did anybody know about, did we discuss about the Docker? Did we have these containers available for us? Yes, guys, I hope I am not going very fast here. Yeah.
No.
No. So in 2000, we don't have any sort of like these kind of things are there. But at that time also, we have the softwares, right? At 2000 also, we have the software deployments are happening and everything is there. So, but not this scale. Right now, whatever you are seeing, internet has become very now entire globe has become as a small village. Okay, so now we don't have any problem with the internet right now. But if you go back to the 2000, 2010, in between that time, we don't know what is meant by Docker, what is meant by virtualization, what is meant by container, what is Kubernetes. We don't know about that. So at that time also, we have the software deployments are happening. So web application, we are having the web applications. So if you see, we have this, what I can say, there is a e-commerce site is also there in 2000 also. That is called as, just forgot that name. Before Flipkart on Amazon, we used to have the US based e-commerce website is also available for us. So like that, in previous 2000s also, in back 2000 also, we are having this kind of web applications are available. But at that time, how we are installing or else how we are running this web application in the sense any banking application or also any e-commerce web application, how we are running at that particular time, 2000 to 2010, in between that. So how we are doing that? With the help of physical servers. There used to be a very big computing devices which are called as servers, which are having somewhere like some 256 GB of RAM, 1 terabyte size of RAM, and high-end processors are available, storage space is available. So we used to have a huge equipment is there, and that's called as a server. And we used to install all the softwares, whatever the softwares that are to be run, we used to install those softwares on the server. Software on the server. So this is how we are running our application. For example, if I want to run an Java related application, okay, the backend is written by Java. If I want to run a Java related application, then I need to install the Java application. Where I have to install? I need to install in the server. So now what is the problem? What is the problem that we are going to face? So now let us see a smaller perspective. Now in my laptop, it is having a Windows operating system. So let us suppose I'm a developer. Okay, just think that I am a developer. As a developer, I have a laptop. In my laptop, I am having a Windows operating system. So on the Windows operating system, I installed Java 17. Okay, Java 17 software I have installed. The runtime I have installed on my laptop. Okay, it is running very fine. Now, if you see in my laptop, I am having that Java 17 is available. Java-version. So if you see, I have the 17 application is running. Now I created a backend, or else I created an application in the Java, or else I created a software in the Java, and that is having a dependency. So when I create a software in Java which have the dependency called as Java 17, it is having the Java 17 dependency. Now it is fine. It is working very good in my laptop. I don't have any problem with that particular application. Now it's fantastically running. But now when I go back to the server, if I go to the server, in the server, it is not running. It is not running. Why it is not running? So there is a concept called as it runs in my computer. There is an error, or there is a situation called as it runs in my computer, but it is not running in your server or else in your environment. So why it is going to happen in such fashion? For example, let us take an example. I think everyone is foodie here, or also everyone might be eating some dishes over here. For example, you prepare an excellent dish in your home. So you are residing in a city where your home is located. In your home, you have all the ingredients to create an perfect dish. Okay, so you created a perfect dish and you ate the dish on that particular day. Now suddenly your parents have went somewhere and you went to your friend's room. Okay, you went to your friend's room. Is it necessary? Is it really necessary that your friend need to have everything, every ingredient that to cook to cook the dish whichever you want? So in your friend room, he won't have all the dishes or all the ingredients which you require. So at that particular point of time, you cannot cook whatever you want. So let us compare this. In your home, you have all the ingredients. Why? Because it's a family running home, so everything will be there in your house. But when you come to your friend's room, it's a bachelor room. When in a bachelor room, we don't expect more number of spices, more number of ingredients in this room. So there will be very less in portion. So at that point, you cannot cook whatever the dish you want. So in the same fashion, if you see in your laptop, you can install whatever the dependency, whatever the application you want, you can install all the dependencies for your application. But the same thing cannot be done on a server. In a server, already there will be certain applications that are running. Already there are a few backend applications, backend softwares will be running. So you cannot suspend all those applications. So definitely what is your requirement here? You need to have a limited, or else you will have a limited resources. With those limited applications only, you need to run your software. which is not possible. So there is a problem for your for running that particular application. What is the problem here? So the dependencies will not be acceptable. Whatever the dependencies that with the help of those dependencies you created your application in your laptop, the same dependency will not be present in the server. So that's the main problem. So to overcome this problem, what we are going to do here is, after a server, we are going for a concept called as virtualization. We are going with a concept called as virtualization. What is this virtualization mean? Virtualization means whatever the server that we are having, we are going to divide that server into logically different small servers. Okay, I don't want to make you confused about technically speaking everything in the first day itself. We'll discuss about the virtualization topic also. But the point is, so what virtualization is going to do here is, virtualization will create multiple small logical servers for you. So where you can install all your applications and run. But the problem here is, for example, a server is like a server is like an independent house. Okay, a server is like an independent house where you can install whatever you want, or else whatever you want to run. Or else in your laptop, whatever you want to run, you can run it, or else you can do it in your laptop as similar to your independent house. But when you go to an apartment, okay, but when you go to an apartment is a very big house, very big commodity where you will have this multiple small logically divided houses will be there. So if you compare the virtual machines and servers, a server is like an independent house where you have to provide, you have to pay your own electricity bill, you have to purchase the land, you have to look after all your home like that. But when you go to an apartment, in the apartment, you will be having a space which is shared between all the people. Okay, just assume that. So an apartment is there. Apartment land will be there. Physical land will be there. That physical land will be shared across all the people. There will be some 10-floor apartment will be there, where there will be some 50 to 100 flats will be there in that apartment. 50 flats will be there in that apartment. So now each and every flat belongs to a person. Okay, so which means that that physical entity is now logically divided into small entities. So that's called as a virtualization. So where you can run whatever you want, but try to assume in this fashion. But if you want to move out of that particular apartment to another apartment, but if you want to move out of that apartment to another apartment, now what is going to happen? This entire shifting has to be done. Your entire furniture has to be shifted. Why? Because you have purchased it. So everything has to be shifted, which means it's a hectic task for you. So definitely it is going to take some 2 days of time to shift from older house to the newer house. But if you are having, what I can say, nowadays we are getting full furnished flats or semi-furnished flats like that. So at that point, what is going to happen? You are going to move only whatever you require, whatever the furniture you require, you will take that furniture and go to your new house. So when you compare with moving the entire furniture from the old house to the newer house, it is very easy for you to pull out a few furniture which is owned by you from one house to the another house. In the same manner, when you compare the virtual machine, in virtual machine is an logical server. It's not a physical server like apartment flats. It's a logical server where you will have all the operating system, all the dependencies, all the applications, everything will be there inside the virtual machine. Now, if that virtual machine is in the development environment, so now what is this development environment? So first of all, you need to understand this terminology. What is meant by whenever you are developing an application, you are developing an application. So now how you are going to develop this application? First of all, you need to understand this, and then we will come back to the virtualization point. Did anybody is having an idea how this application will be developed and how this application will be given to the client? Did anybody have this idea? Anyone? I don't want to break you in between, but yes, just asking about the things. Did anybody have any idea about this? Developing an application. What is the process? Okay, no problem, guys. If you don't know, that's absolutely fine. No worries about that. In the entire world, at least you can answer this. In the entire world, there are only two types of companies, two types of organizations are there. Either they will come into one perspective or else another perspective. The first one is IT company. The first one is IT. And the second one will be non-IT companies. These are the only two companies in the across the world. When you go to any company, any organization, either they will come into a category of IT or else they will come into a category of non-IT. For example, there is a bank. Okay, for example, there is a bank. Now, this bank, whatever the so-called bank, you can call it as ICICI, SBI, or HDFC, any bank you can call. So there is a bank. So in the bank, there are some thousands of clients are there, thousands of customers are there for this bank. So everyone are rushing towards the bank to deposit the money or to withdraw the money. If you go back to somewhere like 2010 at that particular point of time, so there are lots and lots of people who are going to the bank to deposit the money. So to withdraw the money, so you have to write a deposit form, you have to write a withdrawal form. Then only you can deposit the money, or else then only you can withdraw the money. So now I don't want to make my customers strain or else take more amount of stress for withdrawing and depositing the money. So for that purpose, what I have done, I collaborated with an IT company. So there is an IT company which has been created. It's a startup company. Now this bank went to this IT company saying that, boss, I want to have an application developed for my customers or else for my clients where they can have all the tracking, how much amount they have deposited, how much amount they have debited, credited amount, loan amount, credit cards, debit cards, each and every minute detail I need to have in that particular application. Now, what this IT company will do? Okay, boss. So whatever you have said, we totally understand that. That comes under a concept called as SDLC, Software Development Lifecycle, guys. So now what is happening here? This IT company will collect all the requirements from the banks. So whatever the bank is asking, so I want an application to be developed. So the application needs to have personal banking and corporate banking. Personal banking means your retail banking. You are the you have a bank account. So that comes under the personal banking. If your organization, if your company, if your office is having an account in the bank, then that comes under the corporate account. So now personal banking, corporate banking, and wallet banking, credit cards, debit cards. So I want these applications to be there, or else I want all these services to be there inside that application, which you have to develop. So now what IT company will do here is they will gather all the requirements. So whatever the requested by bank, so the IT company will gather all the requirements. That's the first one. And the second one will be, once the requirements gathering is done, they will start developing. Okay, they will start, first of all, they will analyze and they will start developing. So once the development is done, then they will go for deployment. So after deployment, they will go for the testing phase. And then they will move into the production environment. So here you can see what is this SDLC lifecycle. So there will be multiple stages: dev stage, next one will be testing stage, and next one will be prod stage. So these are the prod in the sense production stage, where the end customer will access the application. So now, for example, where we are into virtualization. Don't forget about this. We are into virtualization. And then we just came out of that virtualization to discuss about this software lifecycle. Okay. So now when we are into this virtualization, so I have developed my application in the development environment virtual machine. So in development environment virtual machine, I created the application. Now everything is done. Now after this, the application has to move into another environment called as testing environment. There is a testing server available. I will deploy the application in the testing server. Okay. So to test that application. So now once the testing application, once the application is tested, now then it will move into the production environment. So this is how it is going to happen. Now what should be happening? What is happening here? The server has to be moved from development environment to the test environment, and from test environment to the application environment, production environment. Now, what is happening here? The entire infrastructure, whatever the virtual machine is having, software, operating system, softwares, and your application, everything has to be moved. Is that really required? See, for example, if I have to say, let me tell you, in your home, you are having rice bag, vegetables, pulse, whatever the cereals, pulses, everything are there to prepare a meal for you for that particular day. Now you want to carry out a lunch box. You just want to carry out, you want to take a lunch box to your school or else to your college or else to your office. Now you need to have a small box which will be portable from one of your home from your home to the your office or else your college. It should be portable. For example, when you are moving to your college or else when you are going to your office, you have to carry out all the rice bags, all the pulses, all the gas stoves and everything. Is that really recommended? So you can cook your food and you can just carry out, you can pack that entire food in a small box and you can carry it to your office and you can have the ready to eat methodology. In the same problem occurs in the virtual machines. What is the problem? So just like carrying out the rice bags, gas cylinders, and everywhere, wherever you go, you have to carry a rice bag. Wherever you go, you have to carry the oil. Wherever you go, you have to carry the stoves, gas cylinders, and everything. So in the same fashion, when you are migrating your virtual machine from development environment to the production environment, now what has to be done? Operating system should be migrated, software should be installed, and then application should be deployed. Our requirement is only application. Then why I need to carry about all this? Why I need to care about all this software, all this application, all this whatever the operating system I want? Why I need to care about that? So that is giving me more hectic things. So I don't want that. I want only my application. If I want only my application, then what I have to do? There comes the main concept called as Docker. So just like your lunchbox, how we are packing up the things. Okay, just like your lunchbox, how you are packing up the things. In the same fashion, Docker is also a packaging tool, which is going to pack all your application and its dependencies in a form of a container. So there is a concept called as container. What Docker is going to do? Docker will pack the entire applications and its dependencies into a container, and this container can be tested, and this container can be migrated from one environment to the another environment with more ease, with more comfort. Okay, we don't need to carry out all the operating system, we don't need to carry out all the unwanted libraries. Okay, whatever the unwanted dependencies, we don't need to carry about all these things. We just need to carry whatever we require for that application. That can be done by your Docker. So that's the reason we are going with the concept of a Docker. Now, what is meant by Docker? A Docker is a packaging tool which will pack the application and its dependencies into a container. So that is called as a Docker. So if I have to define it, let me define in this fashion. So what is Docker? The next one is, so up to now, whatever we have discussed, we discussed about why Docker. Now, what is Docker? Docker is a tool that packages an application and all its dependencies into a container. Okay, so this is the definition of your Docker. Okay, so here what we are going to learn, are we going to learn about the Docker tool? Of course, that will be a 10%, but majorly we are going to learn about the container. Okay, so now what is a container? A container is a process. To make you understand about the containers, we need to discuss about the control groups, namespaces in Linux environment. We will discuss about that in the upcoming time. But as of now, what is meant by a container? A container is a package which is done by the Docker, which will have the application and all its dependencies. So what can be done? A container can be created in your laptop and it can be moved into any another server also, and you can run that application over there also. So it's a simple tool. Okay. Just like I said, lunchbox. In the lunchbox, how you are preparing the food and carrying it to your college or also your office. In the same fashion, you can carry out a container from one environment to the another environment. Now, where this Docker will be used, where we can use the Docker. Docker can be used in multiple ways, multiple, what I can say, multiple clouds. Okay, it can be used in AWS, Azure, we can use that, GCP also. So AWS, we are having Elastic Container Registry, okay, where you can have your images saved and you can create the containers. In Azure Kubernetes services, we can use the containers. In GCP also, we can use the containers. And later on that, DevOps team, majorly the DevOps team will use Docker to automate the process. Docker to automate the deployments. Okay, so whatever the application deployments should be done, whatever the application should be installed, we can use the Docker over there. And the next one will be, let us suppose think what are the major platforms that are using the containers. The major platforms are Netflix. Netflix will be using the Docker containers to run the services, to run what also, if you see, there are multiple services will be there, like movies, TV shows. In Netflix, you will have multiple services. All the services will be maintained by your containers, like PayPal. Okay, PayPal also used huge number of containers. Spotify. Okay, Spotify music app, it is also going to use the containers. Docker as a main application for that. Okay, so this is about the entire Docker and containers thing. And when you come back to this, not only this, a huge number of companies like Airbnb also going to use the same. Okay, so Amazon, Google, every company will use nowadays are using the Docker and containers and Kubernetes. So this is how we are going to define the Docker. Now, with that point, I want to stop the technicalities over here. So I hope you understand about the Docker. Any questions from this perspective? Do you have anything to ask me? To know, is it clear? Any questions? Guys, any questions? You can unmute yourself, guys. No problem. Anyways, we need to discuss about the syllabus also. Yeah. Any questions? Vijay, Suresh, Ashok, Lakshmi Narayana. Yeah. If you are open, you can ask.
Yeah.
Go on, Suresh.
It's clear, understood.
Fine. Vijay, anything to ask?
No, sir. Go on.
Fine. Right.
So, Chaitanya, do you cover OpenShift also in this, or only Kubernetes?
No. OpenShift is not there. OpenShift, if I have to cover it to create the cluster itself, it is going to take half an hour to 40 minutes. Our session is
Okay.
only about 1.5 hours. Okay, we are going to cover the Kubernetes. If you want, I can show you how to create the cluster. The same manner. Okay, the commands will be the same. I will show you it.
In the OpenShift.
Yeah.
Okay.
Command wise, there is a little bit difference will be there. I will try to explain you. If possible, at the end of the sessions, I will try to explain you about the OpenShift. I am not saying that this in this session I am going to go with the complete OpenShift over here, but Kubernetes will be the main thing. But at the end, at last, if there is time, definitely I will go with an installation of OpenShift and I will try to explain you what is the main difference between Kubernetes and OpenShift. Just it will be like 1 hour of.
Okay. Thank you, Chaitanya.
Can you please repeat again in short form? Okay. So yeah. So Docker is nothing but a packaging tool, guys. Okay, where you are having the entire concept. What we are discussing here is, for example, nowadays everyone, the deployment has become very easy. Now, for example, your Flipkart is there. Okay, in Flipkart you are running multiple applications. Suddenly the load on that application has been become, there is immense load is there. So how you can increase the application load capacity? Okay, so now how you can increase more number of sustainable applications. So how you can automate the entire configuration. So to do all these things, we are going for a Docker and containers. Not only that, it will be more easily to migrate from one environment to the another environment. So the major problem, if you go backwards, okay, just try to go with an reverse engineering perspective. So now we are using the Docker. Why we are using the Docker? inside the Docker, we will be having only the application and its dependencies. Other than that, we don't have any unnecessary softwares won't be there. Like the entire kernel of operating system, we don't have the kernel, we don't have any another misutilizing applications. We will have only the applications, whatever that are required, whatever the dependencies that are required by your software or by your application only. For example, you are developing a front-end application, you are developing a back-end application. What is required, that will be there inside the container. Unnecessary softwares won't be there. For example, let me ask you one simple question so that you will get a clarity about this. I think Ajit, you asked me about this question. Anyways, coming back to the point. For example, you bought a new laptop. Okay, you bought a new laptop which is of 500 GB of SSD is there. When you bought the new laptop with operating system, okay, why you are bringing the laptop? You want to use it for games, or else you want to use it for some learning purpose. You bring that laptop. Okay. Now, when you bought that laptop, whether that hard disk will have the entire 500 GB of space, or else it will have like 400 GB of space, or else 450 GB of space. That's my first question. So when you bought a laptop, okay, when you bought a laptop, will it have total storage space available? That's my first question. And the second question is, now when you started, or else when you shut down the laptop and restarted the laptop, whether the resources, if you are having 16 GB of RAM is there for in your laptop, you are having 16 GB of RAM. So in the 16 GB of RAM, the entire 16 GB will be free, or else like you will have 12 GB of RAM will be free. How it will be? These are my two questions. Can anybody answer for this? I hope you understand the questions here. Do you want any clarity in the questions also? Guys, do you understand the question? Do you have anything?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
how to leverage the resources with Docker.
exactly.
That is, yeah.
Exactly. So not only that. So here you are using your laptop. But inside the laptop, unnecessary softwares will be running in the background, which are not being utilized by you. But some of the resources might be utilizing that, which are not required by your applications. So now I want only the applications. So to do that, what we are going to do here is we are going for a concept of Docker. Okay, so that's called as a Docker. Now, let us go back to the main point here. The main point is, what is the syllabus? What is the syllabus that we are going to cover in the entire Docker and Kubernetes? So in the Docker, what we are going to cover here is basics of Docker. Basics of Docker, what is meant by Docker, what is meant by containers, C groups, namespaces, and processes. Everything we are going to cover, commands, everything we are going to cover. And the next one will be Docker lifecycle. Okay, so how a container will be created from starting of the container to the termination of the container, how it is going to happen. So that we are going to check. And Docker architecture. Okay, so these things we will discuss. This will be covered in the basics of Docker itself. And the second one will be Docker images, how to create the Docker images, what is meant by Docker image, everything we are going to cover over there with the help of Dockerfile. Later, we will be discussing about Docker network, and then Docker volumes, and then Docker compose, and Docker swarm. So these are the things that we are going to cover in the entire Docker session. Okay, so in the entire Docker session, we are going to come into this. So for Docker, we don't require any sort of coding knowledge. Okay, so I already have some projects with me. I will show you about those projects and how to deploy those projects, what are the prerequisites and everything. So you don't need to have any coding knowledge and everything. So, but at least you need to have knowledge about how to build that application. That is required. But anyways, we are going to recheck that. I'm going to recheck that application, and I'm going to tell you what is going to happen with that application. So here Developers, if developers are there, that's well and good. If there are no developers, we don't need to have any sort of coding language is not required over here. Okay, yeah. So I will tell you about the certification, but currently we are into the basics of syllabus itself. So with this, we will complete the Docker, and then we are going to move on to a main concept called as Kubernetes. Very, 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 very important concept. Now, if you go to any number of interviews as a DevOps engineer, if you put 3 years of experience as a DevOps engineer, they are going to ask you about the main concept called as Kubernetes. To understand Kubernetes, you need to have a brief understanding about the Docker. So what we are going to discuss over here is in Kubernetes, first one is microservices versus monolithic architecture. Okay, monolithic. And the second one will be creating or also understanding basics of Kubernetes. Okay, so your microservices and monolithic will be covered under the basics of Kubernetes itself. Cluster creation. Don't expect that we are going to create the cluster in the development environment. Small tools. We are not going to work with the small tools. We are going to work with the production grade itself. Production grade, that is with the help of KubeADM, KubeAdmin tool, and as well as KOps. Okay, Kubernetes operations, which will be especially designed for AWS environment. We are going to work everything in the AWS environment only. So I won't say it's a prerequisite, but if you have a knowledge on AWS and AWS environment, that will be an added benefit for you. Okay, if you don't have a knowledge also, we don't need to worry about that. If you have a server knowledge, that's more than enough. Even though if you don't have the server knowledge also, let me try to explain you on that also. Don't worry about that. Okay, so we are going to create a Kubernetes cluster with the help of KubeADM. It's a tool, and KOps. KOps is a tool especially designed for AWS. Nowadays, they are creating for Azure also, but now we are going only with the AWS environment. And then we will be discussing about the rancher, not right now, but at the end of the Kubernetes sessions, we are going to create a Kubernetes cluster with the help of rancher. And then Kubernetes workload components, where we will be discussing about pods, deployments, replica sets, stateful sets, and daemon sets. These are all the concepts that we are going to cover in the workload components. And then we will be discussing about Kubernetes services like cluster IP, node port, and then we will be discussing about load balancer. I will simply make it as LB, load balancer, and then external name. Okay, external name and headless services. Okay, these are the services that we are going to cover. And then we will be discussing about Kubernetes ingress controller. Very, very important concept, guys. Ingress controller. Nowadays, in each and every company, they are using multiple number of services which can be handled by the ingress controller only. Controller. Okay. Anyways, so these are the concepts, and then we will be discussing about Kubernetes probes and then sidecar containers. These are the two topics that we are going to discuss, and then Kubernetes advanced scheduling. Okay, Kubernetes RBAC, and then Kubernetes storage. Okay, Kubernetes storage, and then config maps and secrets. And then Kubernetes Helm charts, or else simply I will go with the Helm. Okay, in the Helm charts only, I will go with the monitoring and logging tools. And then we'll discuss about STO mesh, STO service mesh. Very, very important concept. And then we'll discuss about AWS EKS, Elastic Kubernetes Services, in the AWS terminology. What else we have? GitOps, especially Argo CD. With this, we will complete the entire Kubernetes concept. So this is the entire syllabus that we are going to cover in the Docker and
And
Kubernetes.
Chaitanya, and what about the hypervision? That is not. It's if you want to, hypervision is also is there, right? What is that? Who's to
Hypervision
manage
or hypervisor?
hypervisor? Sorry.
Hypervisor will comes under the virtualization.
Oh, not in this. Okay.
No, this is not comes under the Docker and Kubernetes perspective. Okay, that's
Okay.
totally a
To
virtualization part.
manage the worker nodes, we require hypervisor. Not required.
Not
Kubernetes.
in Kubernetes also we don't require that. Okay, right. So this is the entire syllabus which we are going to discuss, guys. Which will be we are going to start with the Docker. Tomorrow onwards we will be working. Nowadays, you think that the 3 days of demos will be there. Of course, the 3 days will be the demos, but in your perspective, they will be demos. But now, whatever we have discussed, day one onwards, it's a class for me. Okay, it's not a demo. So I am not going to repeat the same concept tomorrow also. Tomorrow we will be diving into the Docker. Okay, so I don't know whether whether all the faculties will follow this only, but I am following the same perspective over here. So my sessions will be from day one onwards. The sessions will start, and you may consider it as a demos itself. Okay, so tomorrow we'll start with the basics of Docker, what is meant by Linux, what Linux groups and namespaces, why containers are very important. These topics I'm going to cover. I'm not going to discuss all about, again, I'm not going to discuss about the syllabus. Again, I'm not going to discuss about the Docker, what is meant by Docker, why Docker, what is the necessity of Docker. I'm not going to discuss about all these things in the next session. So today's session itself, it's a last topic. Okay. So yes, any questions from your end? Anything that you want to add on or else anything that you want to ask me? You can go with that.
Yeah. I have some doubts, Chaitanya.
Yeah, Suresh.
Yeah, are you discussing full syllabus in microservices?
It's full syllabus in the microservices.
Yeah.
I didn't understand the question here. So I'm discussing the full syllabus in the Kubernetes. Kubernetes is a microservice architecture platform. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. I think you got disconnected with this one. I will remove this. Yeah.
Okay.
See, Kubernetes is a platform which is going to create the microservices, which is going to manage the microservices of your application. So now, before I go into this microservices and all the things, I don't want to give you more technical stuff in the day one itself. But my question is, what is meant by a microservice?
Yeah, I have some basic knowledge is there, but I don't know.
No. I'm not asking you itself. I am asking everyone.
Okay.
Any cloud creates service, Kubernetes service. No. Okay, let me show you a simple example so that you will get a clarity about what is a microservice. Have you ever used any banking, or else let me ask you, have you ever used this Uber application? Guys, Uber. No one
Yes,
used
yes.
Uber. Uber you
Yeah.
have used, right?
Yes.
In the Uber, here you can see this is the Uber application, the entire Uber application where you are having multiple options. Ride option is there, drive option is there, business option is there, like that. Okay. So now if you see this, there is a ride option. So I want to go from one location to the another location. So I want to click on, I will click on the ride option. It's a microservice. Inside this entire application, it's just a simple microservice. Like if you are having a very big family is like an application. Inside the family, you are having father, mother, brother, sister, and wife, son, daughter. So these are all comes under the microservice. All these microservices, all these people combinedly called as a family. In the same manner, you are having an application. Inside that application, what is that application? For example, this is a Uber application, which is a transport application. Inside the transport application, you are having multiple services. Ride is a service, drive is a service. You know how to drive. So you want to drive the cab for Uber, or else you want to drive the cab for your earnings. You want to earn something from the for something by riding the cab itself. So you want to register as a driver. So you can go with the drive service. So ride service is for the customer, drive service is for the drivers and business, and next one is about. So if you see here, these are all the services that are given by the Uber itself. So if you see Uber collaboratively, Uber application is a concept of multiple microservices. Very good. Yeah. Anyways, I'm going to discuss about these microservices in the session, but I just want to make sure you understand what is meant by a microservice. So I hope you are able to see the image over here. Here you can see the customer is there. Customer wants to, what is the main point here? Customer wants to go for a ride. Okay, so he will click on the API gateway. The API gateway will be connected to the passenger management, it's customer management. Now customer wants to access the ride. So there will be ride management, billing, payments, notification. Notification service is also one of the service. So notification service, when you click on the Uber, you want to ride from Hyderabad location, from one location to the another location. When the driver is confirmed, when the ride is confirmed, you will get a notification. Your ride is confirmed. The pin is this. When the driver is near to your location, your ride is near to your location, or else your ride is arrived. That is another notification. Notification service will be there. Once you complete the ride, then you will have you completed the ride. You can pay this much amount of money. Once you paid the money, thank you for choosing the Uber. So these are all comes under the notification. And trip management. Trip management in the sense from where to where you have started your trip. So these are all comes under the trip management service. Okay. So like that, these are all the microservices. Now, what is the main advantage with the microservice? For example, notification service is down. Okay, so for example, notification service is down. Only this area is affected. Not your ride is affected, nor the ride, nor the payments. Nothing will be affected. Only the notification service will be getting affected. So that's the main benefit with the microservices. If you combine all these microservices, then you are going to get an application. So that application you are seeing over here. Okay, so that's called as microservice. I hope you understand. A small service collaboratively, multiple small services collaboratively form an application, and those services are called as microservices.
Yeah,
Okay?
I got Chaitanya.
Yeah. So these microservices will be, so now whatever the trip management is there, this trip management will be created in the Java application. Okay, they are going to create this service in the Java application. Notification service, you can use Kafka, or also what I can say, there are so many number of notification services related softwares are there. So you can use any one of the softwares. Okay, like if I go for AWS SNS, simple notification services are there. And you can create the web UI. Front end will be there. Front end can be designed by AngularJS, React.js, or else, Node.js, or else your HTML pages. Anyway, JavaScript, using JavaScript also you can design the front end. So you will have the front end, you will have the back end, and then you will have the notifications, and everything will be there. All these collaboratively managed by your Kubernetes. How it is going to manage? These services are deployed inside a containers. These containers are managed by your Kubernetes. So Uber is also going to use your Kubernetes only. Netflix uses Kubernetes. And then what else? What else we have? PayPal. PayPal also uses the Kubernetes. Whatever the containerization structure is there, every application nowadays are using the Kubernetes itself. Okay. So yeah, where we are actually we are in the microservices. We are in the syllabus perspective, but someone asked about the microservices. I just discussed about that. Yeah. Any questions?
Okay, Chaitanya, I got
Yeah.
it, your point.
No. That's fine. By completing, and somebody asked me about what is the certification that we can do. Mohit, I think. Mohit is there? There is a certification called as Certified Kubernetes Administrator. You can clear this certification by completing this course. Am I clear, Mohit?
What
Yeah,
certification you have to do is good for the career option?
It is fine. It is perfect. CK, Certified Kubernetes Administrator, as you are just stepping into the containerization platform, it will be more effective for you. Okay. So just the search in, like it's from the Linux Foundation. You can enroll for that. CKA Linux Foundation. Certified Kubernetes Administrator. So now what you can do here is, you can simply sign up for the certification. It's like $445. Okay. So if you want to enroll, you can enroll here and you can write the certificate. Somewhere like 30,000 rupees, guys. Okay. I'm a certified Kubernetes administrator. Anyways, coming back to this, my introduction. Okay. Yeah. I hope I'm very much clear about the things. Anything you want to ask me about apart from this, you can ask me about this.
No.
And your class timings will be at 7 p.m. 7 p.m. to 9 p.m.
Okay.
2 hours of session will be there. And the most important thing will be 20 days of sessions will be there. Only 20 days we are going to cover the entire topics. 20 days in the sense 20 to 40 hours of sessions will be there. In the 40 hours, we are going to cover the entire concepts.
Okay, Chaitanya. Are you provide your notes also?
Yeah. Documentation and recordings will be available in your Google Drive. You can check out with that.
Okay. Thank you, Chaitanya.
Yeah. Anything else, guys? But today, tomorrow, and day after tomorrow, the 3 days of demos, it will be like 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Okay. But after the demos, we are going to straight away start at 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Okay. At the beginning stages,
Okay,
Saturdays, weekends also covered.
Yeah. Sorry.
Is the weekends also there? Just only
Yeah,
weekdays.
every day. It is not like I'm not going to stop. Once the sessions are started, I don't want my students to be disconnected with the sessions. Okay. On the flow, it will be going itself. Every day you will have the session, but within 20 days, we are going to cover the entire concept. We are not going to take any break over here. Okay.
Okay.
Bye.
And Chaitanya, in case if we miss it, we can find it in the
recordings will be there.
Right? Okay.
Yeah. Number of experience years. You can put 3 years of experience by taking the course. If you really study, if you really go through the videos, if you really go through the documentation and all things, you can put 3 years of experience. Okay.
And Chaitanya, I don't have the Linux administration skills. Does it require for this?
No, not required.
I know very minimal background of Linux administration.
That's more than enough. That's more than enough. We are not going to discuss about the Linux, but you need to have minimum knowledge. Okay. Real-time projects, again, we are not going with the real-time projects itself. Okay. So I'm going to discuss in detail about the core concepts of each and everything. Okay, so if I give you a real-time project, I can show you the sign up form. I can show you the background. Storing the data in the PostgreSQL and everything. But so how you are going to develop the real-time project? I can give you a real-time project. We'll be able to do that. In the real-time project, you might not use the services. Okay. So for example, you will not cover the load balancer service. You will not cover the external name service. So who will cover that? In the real time project, I don't need sidecar containers. Okay, but after that, when you go into the real project, or else when you go into the company, definitely they will ask you about the sidecar containers, what you are going to do. In the real time project, in advanced scheduling, I don't want anti-affinity. Prod anti-affinity concept is not required for me, maybe. So if you go into the real world, they will ask you about the pod anti-affinity, what you are going to do. So learn the core concept. Don't run behind the projects. If you learn the core concept, definitely projects will come to you. If you don't learn the core concept, then no necessity of doing the things, right? See, let me explain you a scenario. I'm very, very good in the core concept. So because of that reason, right now I'm working with an top class American established company where I'm going to do all their projects, where I'm doing the projects for that American company. Okay, so I don't want to name that, but yes, whatever the projects that I'm doing right now, it's a collaboration. Okay, so the point is what you need to understand here is don't expect on the real-time projects. Yes, every day I will discuss about each and everything. It's not a theoretical concept. Every day we will be having the practical oriented session, and you can check out my reviews also in the Google. Limited number of reviews only will be there. Okay, I will not ask my students to provide the reviews. Okay, so if they are interested, they will provide the reviews. Okay, so I will not ask my students to provide the reviews, but if they give, I will take it. Anything negative or positive, I am ready to face it. But if you check out my reviews, you will understand the points over there. So my conceptual learning, my conceptual training will be always into the practical only. It is not a theoretical concept. So I cannot, if I have to say workload components within half an hour, I can complete the pods, deployments, and the replica sets. But it is going to take me minimum 2 days to complete the workload concept itself. Why? Because I have to explain the practical. Okay. So everything will be in detail, and don't expect any projects. In between, I will definitely introduce. No, sir, I want the project. Definitely, I will introduce, I will show you the project, how you are going to include all these things into the project. I will tell you. But that's just a simplified case for you to understand the components of your subject. That should not be your top priority. What is your priority is learning the core concept. Once you learn the core concept, then that will lay an foundation for you to do any project that comes in your mind or else that comes in your hand. Okay, am I clear with this?
Okay, Chaitanya.
Right. I already said you about the certification mode.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, I hope I made a very clear statements and I made a very clear syllabus for you. And this is the syllabus which we are going to carry on. I mean, which we are going to work it on. And in between the Docker images, I will go with the multi-stage Docker images. I will go with the networking components, volumes. In volumes, we are having another concept called as bind mounts. So there are lots and lots of things that you need to understand. In paper, it will be looking like very, very small subjects, but when you go in detail about the concept, it's a very vast subject, but don't get afraid of the things. It's a very simple concept. I will make it very simple for you. Okay. So no worries about the things. Okay. And if possible, I will try to show you the CI/CD pipeline also. CI/CD pipeline. And don't say that, sir, we are going to learn about the Jenkins. Jenkins is not there, but I will try to explain you about what is the process, how this Kubernetes and Docker will be implemented into this CI/CD pipeline. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Continuous integration and continuous. So, okay.
Continuous integration,
Okay,
continuous deployment. But this is
Yeah.
not going to be the entire concept of Jenkins. Why? Because if I have to cover the Jenkins again, I need to go with lots of things. Okay.
Yeah. I need a
Yeah.
Jenkins code also.
Yeah. I'm just going with the CI/CD pipelining itself. Okay.
Okay.
Right. Yes, guys. So that's it. Why K8s is not there 5 years ago? Mhm. Why artificial intelligence is not there 3 years back? It's there, but see, 1970 only we have the artificial intelligence. Okay. Someone said that why can't machines learn the things in 1970? But now it has been came into the limelight. Okay. Why in 2010 we don't have the DevOps? Why? Because DevOps is there. If you see Git, okay, Git is there since 1992 onwards, 1993. Linus Torvalds is the person who has introduced the Git itself, but it took time to come into the limelight. Okay, again, coming to the point, whatever you have asked me. So why Kubernetes is not there 5 years ago in the sense Kubernetes is there, Docker is also there, but we did not find it out. Okay, we did not understand the importance for that. Now we are going across the DevOps. Now we are finding the proper answer for Kubernetes. We are finding the proper usage of Kubernetes and Docker. Okay, right, guys. Yeah. Anything else?
I have one basic question. Can I?
Yes, Ajay.
We are just using microservices to deploy for that Kubernetes and Docker, or we can also run our monolithic application also.
The name itself saying that monolithic. You are bringing two extremities into single point.
Okay.
Monolithic and microservices both are different. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Monolithic is an application where if you find, I showed you know there are multiple services in an application, just like an Uber application I have showed you. So if there is a problem with one of the service, for example, there is a problem in the write service. If you see in the monolithic application, you have to take down the entire application. But in microservices, you don't need to take down the entire application. You don't need to stop the entire application. You can stop only that service and you can repair the service, or else you can find out the bug in the service. But still the application will be running. But in monolithic application, what is going to happen? It is going to affect the entire application.
Affecting all.
Yeah. The name itself says that monolithic, mono in the sense single. Okay, only the entire application will be, the entire services and the entire thing will be incorporated in a single application. If there is a problem with a single service, the entire application we have to take down. But in microservices, it is not like that. Okay,
Okay. Yeah.
right.
Okay. One more, sir. As a .NET developer, we are going to continue like that session where one sample project we are going to deploy and run using this Docker and Kubernetes. We are going to like means we have
See,
that type of session now.
yeah, I will show you in the Java related context, guys. Okay. Why? Because I'm very much familiar with Java. Again, I'm telling you, I am from the system administrator background. Anyways, I will try to explain you in the Spring Boot and Java related application. So as a .NET developer, you are saying that so in .NET, how you are going to Microsoft .NET applications you are going to install, right? So in the Linux operating system, or how you are installing the .NET application, in the same fashion you can run it in the containers also. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
No,
And
one thing,
Sunday also we have class.
after we created Docker files, right, we'll push it into the GitHub and how to push it into the GitHub and how to clone it to the GitHub.
Yeah, everything.
Then
See,
we will all
Docker,
explain it, right? Okay.
yeah, each and every minute thing you are going to get experience with. Okay, I'm not going to skip in a high technical level. We are going very in deep into the concepts.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Also we have some basic idea about like Git and GitHub in this class.
Yes.
Yeah, if you have the Git and GitHub knowledge, that's more than enough when we are going with the GitOps. It's not like definitely you need to have the Git knowledge. Okay, when we are discussing about the GitOps, then you need to have the Git and GitHub knowledge. We will be discussing about the Harbor and additional concepts for you, which is not into the syllabus. There is a private registry called as Harbor. I will discuss about the Harbor registry, how to store your images privately. What is meant by Docker Hub registry, public repository and public registry and the private registry. What is the main difference between these two? How we can have our own private registry. Everything will be discussed in the upcoming sessions.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Thank you. And so Sunday also we have class.
Yeah, every day. If there is no class, I will inform you before 2 days itself. Okay.
Okay.
Most probably you will have a session every day. Mostly, if I am not well or else if I am traveling to somewhere, because of my work pressure, I might be traveling to another state or else another country at that time. Only I will not able to take the sessions, but I will inform you before 2 days itself. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
That's it, guys. I hope I made it very clear for you. And welcome on board. Welcome to DURGASOFT. And whatever the fees that you are paying for the session, just think them like an investment. Don't think like a burden for you. Okay. So you are paying 5,000 rupees just as an investment for your, I will say 5 lakh rupees of job. Okay. Sir, only 5 lakhs I'm going to get depends on your answering, depends on your interview, depends on your company. You are going to get more also. Okay. I just gave you a simple example. Okay. Right. Okay, guys. Have a nice day. Yes, Anil, you are about to ask something. Yeah, Anil.
Sir, sorry, Chaitanya, sir. I had joined your class earlier, but for some reason, it was late in the night for me. I am in the US time zone, and it's like I joined like a couple of sessions and then I totally got disconnected. So I would like to join it again. because this
Mhm.
time works very well for me. This is like a daytime and it works for me. So I just wanted to see if I can join this class again.
Yeah, you can contact DURGASOFT related to that.
Sure. Yeah, because
No
yeah,
worries.
I had completed the Dockers through 2-3 sessions, and it was very nice, and I wanted to continue, but then
Yeah,
whatever time zone change or whatever, it went way late in the night, so I couldn't complete the rest.
no problem, Anil. You can continue in this session. Just communicate the same with the DURGASOFT, and you can
Sure.
join into the sessions. Okay,
Sure.
absolutely no
Thank you,
problem.
sir. Sure. Thanks.
And Chaitanya, do you have any day sessions in the morning? In the morning, do you have any day sessions?
Right now we are not planning. First of all, I need to complete this, and then we will
Okay.
plan a day session. I have another session in the day also where I'm covering the AWS. So not for DurgaSoft, it's my so yeah. So yeah,
So when that
we'll
is got
discuss about it.
started?
That started 1.5 months back.
Okay.
Okay. Don't worry. Within a couple of weeks, we will announce a day session also. That will be like 8 a.m. I'm thinking of 8 a.m. Batch. I will let you know
So
about that.
that is AWS with
No, that's
DevOps?
only Docker and Kubernetes. Docker and Kubernetes.
No, Docker and Kubernetes.
Okay.
Yeah, this is
So
good time.
yeah. Yeah. So anyone are interested in joining to the sessions? If you are really once, and I'm not saying that join immediately. Just to look after the 2 or 3 demos. If you are really interested to join, then only join. We are not compiling you like you have to join. Just look after the sessions, and then if you are really interested in join, then only join. No problem over that. Okay. Anyways, at 8 o'clock, maybe I'm thinking of starting a session at 8 o'clock in the morning, but not right now. So you can continue with the session. If there is anything, we will let you know about that. I am planning an AWS also. If possible, I will let you know about that. So everything you will get an confirmation from the DurgaSoft itself. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So,
Uh,
Chaitanya, I would like to. I'm planning to go for a solution, AWS solution architect. Will your courses helpful to get this certification for the AWS solution architect associate?
Yeah. So I have
See, yeah.
why I'm saying this because I have my students in US. Okay. They are my personal batches. I don't want to go with the things, but what I want to tell you here is, out of 7 people, 6 people have started the AWS Solutions Architect Associate level examination. Okay. So I'm just giving
Okay.
a basic thing. Okay. In the previous batch, whatever I have discussed for them. So out of 7 people, 6 people have started the examination, and certified Kubernetes administrator. 3 people has attempted, and 3 people has cleared out the certified Kubernetes administrator certification also. And a few got an opportunity somewhere. Like I think one of the candidate got in Amazon, and one of the candidate might got in I think Apple. I think I'm not very sure about that, but this is not related to Durga, so I don't want to get all these things into this. But even you have asked me the things, I just explained you about the what is the certification that you can clear out. Okay,
Okay.
right? Yes.
And are we aware of that ROSA or Red Hat OpenShift on AWS? Something?
Yeah, we'll see about that. I'm not very sure. Why? Because I'm not very open to the OpenShift. I mean, I am not very what I can say handy on the OpenShift. I don't put my hands on OpenShift. If there is a chance, I will definitely let you know about it.
Okay. So let us
Yeah,
know
so
when
Chaitanya
we
sir,
start
I
the
will also be
AWS
interested.
sessions, then I will also enroll for that.
Sure. Definitely, I will let you know.
Okay. Thank
Chaitanya
you.
sir, other than DurgaSoft Online, if you are starting any courses separately or in other site, how do we come to know about
No.
this?
I'm
Is there a way I can?
right now. I'm completely tied up with DurgaSoft only. So if there is anything, definitely DurgaSoft will intimate you. Okay. So that's.
But yeah, definitely the OCP in future, if you plan to do that, I would love
Mhm.
to understand the OCP, Red Hat OCP.
Yeah, sure. I will. But the main problem with that is to deploy, to create the cluster itself, it is going to take lots of time. It's the main problem. Anyways, I will tell you about that. Okay. Yeah, Mohit, you asked me about something. How this course help to developers. Okay. Which developer you are, Mohit? Python. Very good. So in Python, let's suppose think I am using a concept called as Flask. I hope in Python Flask will be there, right? Flask application. Okay. So you will install the Flask application in your server. Okay, Python Flask application, and all the dependencies will be installed on the server, and you will be running that. For example, if you want to create another different application in the Flask itself, but a different version, is it possible on a same server? No. But I want to run on the same server. How I can run that? Definitely I need to go with a container perspective.
Docker.
Docker, exactly. So we are going with the Docker, and these Dockers will be maintained by the Kubernetes. So the developers who only develop the application, they don't know how to maintain the application. Right now, the companies are requesting each and every candidate to have the full stack knowledge. Nowadays, you are having a developer knowledge, but if you go for another organization or else in your organization itself, they will be asking you to learn the Docker and Kubernetes. Why they are asking you to learn the Docker and Kubernetes? Because whatever the software that you have developed, you can be able to deploy that application. Okay, you don't need to take an operations team or else system administration team to deploy the application. Now, let's suppose think you are a software developer. Okay, you will develop your application and you will give the application to the server maintenance team or server administration team and ask them to deploy the application. So the server administration team will deploy the application and will say that this application is not compatible with our server. This is what I said to you in the beginning itself. So when they say that this application is not compatible with the server, you will say that no, the application is running fine in my laptop. But the administrator will say that no, the application is not running in the server. So definitely there will be a communication happening between the developer and the operations team every now and then. They will be happening, like the quarrel or else the communication, mail traces, everything will happen. Now this is going to delay the application deployment. Now if the developer knows the application deployment process, now whether he can talk technically, right? So you can deploy this in the Docker. So I can create the application in the Docker, simply install the Docker on the server. We can run the application. Then that would be very easy. So nowadays, each and every company is asking the candidates who is having the system administration knowledge. They are asking them to learn the coding, and those who have the knowledge as a developer, they are asking them to learn the Docker and Kubernetes. Okay, so that's the reason we need to have this course for the developers also, so that they know how to do the deployments and how to maintain the containers and how to manage the containers. Is it clear? Is it making sense for you? Mohit? Right. Okay, I think it has been too late for me. Anyways, we'll catch up later. We'll catch up tomorrow, guys. And tomorrow I'm going to discuss in deep about the control groups and namespaces, which will be very, very interesting for you in the Linux perspective. Why containers came into the picture, how containers came into the picture. We are talking about the Docker and containers, but basically we don't know what is this container is all about. So tomorrow we'll discuss about that, and it will be a very interesting topic for you. Don't miss tomorrow's class. Have a nice day, and bye-bye.